Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily on this Monday morning edition. Ronnie Rants alongside TK, Tommy Chrysan. TK's over there at Court Street Cafe, where he's at for always breakfast, lunch, dinner at Court Street Cafe, downtown Port Allen, just 5 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge over the Mississippi River Bridge. Hang a right, there you are, Court Street Cafe. Today, I'm at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Check out the 2025 class at lasportshall.com. And we are presented by LeBear's Casino, where LeBear's Casino, a lot of folks yelling and screaming at the TV on Saturday night for that Georgia-Alabama game. What a game it was. No problem, of course, with South Alabama. Saints, oh my God, I'm still need some therapy after that loss yesterday to the Falcons, and a whole lot more, including a crazy day in Major League Baseball that Tommy will tell you about that we are about to get into today. A lot of couple scenarios that are pretty funny. Two NFL games tonight to watch. The Seahawks and the Lions are doing battle, and then the Dolphins and Titans are playing each other. So a little double dip on Monday Night Football. Saints, by the way, Monday Night Football next week, taking on an undefeated Chiefs team. Saints 2-2. Let's talk about Saturday. Let's first go to LSU. Tigers took care of business, covered for the first time this year, over South Alabama. They were up 21-0 in no time. Cruised, only scored once in the second half, had a big lead, 35-3 at half, I think it was. What was your takeaway on on LSU on Saturday?
Well, they kind of did what everybody hoped they would do, what they wanted them to do, maybe play two halves, although the second half they just kind of, wanted to get the clock running. Caden Durham, wow, exploded onto the game and really set the tone. Nussmeier, as usual, steady, consistent, good numbers, and defensively. It's kind of like they all said, okay, we don't have Perkins. Everybody got to step it up a little bit. They really played well. Because South Alabama, they're 2-3 now, but coming in, they'd scored a lot of points. They had some good offensive numbers. So I think you got to just give credit to the fact they didn't allow that explosive play, that long touchdown. And, they played solid, and they were flying around the field, going to the ball. It looked good, keeping in mind it was South Alabama, who I don't know how many more games they're going to win this year, but it was good. Now you got a week off. So I think that their overall takeaway from LSU South Alabama is they did what they were supposed to do. They did cover, as you said, first time this year they did that. Now they got a week off, heal up a few bumps and bruises, make some more adjustments, and then, try to get better and come in 2 weeks. Ole Miss coming to town, and Ole Miss is limping a little bit these days.
Durham, the running back out of the Dallas area, the freshman, I mean, he had some big runs in the South Carolina game, sort of put himself on the map in that one, in the LSU comeback when they were down 17-0. It's clear he's the best running back on the team. Now, are they going to feed him like a number one and give him 20-plus touches a game and all that? It doesn't look like they probably will, but he is the best running back on the team. He's the entire package. He has the speed, he has the moves, he has the power, the toughness. I mean, he is special. So that's exciting for LSU.
Well, Derek Beckwith said it 3 weeks ago on the radio. He said, this guy's got 10-2 speed. Get him the football. There's no substitute for speed in all sports. We know that. We knew that when we were 10 years old. And he's got speed, and he's strong enough, and he's big enough, and, he has burst onto the scene. And I agree with you. He is clearly the best running back that LSU has. But taking nothing away from the other guys, but, I mean, he's got to get, I'm going to say, 12 touches a game combo, pass receiving and, running the football or bubble screens or jet sweeps. I mean, get him the football, as they say, and let him do something. So we'll just have to see. But he has burst onto the scene, no question.
You wonder how much maybe of the package he didn't know that week one against USC, because I don't know, did he touch the ball at all in the USC game? If he did, he did it once. I mean, what might have been, right, had they fed him the rock a little bit more in that one. But I thought LSU took care of business. I thought Nussmeier a little careless with the ball with the 2 turnovers and 2 interceptions, but LSU rolled up over 650 yards of offense. That'll make them feel good going into the off week, and then Ole Miss in a couple weeks. like I said, took care of business, had the big lead early, and then just kind of took the air out of the ball in the second half and just took care of business. People gave up on watching the LSU game at halftime because there was a game going on, and I don't think. I mean, probably a lot of people gave up on the Alabama Georgia game. It was 30-7. Alabama's up at halftime, so you're not expecting that. Hey, you might tune in because it's two of the better teams in the country. Hey, what's going on in the second half? But I mean, you talk about a tale of two halves. I mean, just one of the greatest finishes, one of the greatest fourth quarters, right? And I get, and you can say that for both teams because Georgia comes away from that game thinking, God, dog it, we were so close, but I'm so proud of our guys. And Alabama comes out of that going, whoo, we dodged the bullet, but man, I'm so proud of our guys. And so both teams kind of feel good about themselves. It's amazing to me, Nick Saban, the coach or not, Alabama is Georgia's kryptonite. I mean, they've only lost 3 times in the last 3 years or whatever, or 4 years, and it's all Alabama. But that game was epic. It had so many guys that are going to be in the NFL. We're going to look back on that film years from now, all the different NFL players. But the finish, Tommy, the big plays by both teams, I don't know. It was one for the ages, no question about it. And I did think Alabama would win just because they were at home. No, obviously wasn't Nostradamus to know that it would come like this, but the way it would happen. But I just thought, at the end of the day, Alabama's got something on Georgia, and they're at home. Georgia showed a little chink in their armor, I thought, with the 14-13 win or whatever it was against Kentucky. But I thought they might win a low-scoring game. Didn't I mean Georgia's offense showed up in that second half. What a game! It was an amazing finish.
Well, as they say, instant classic. I mean, it could be played on the instant classic channels, 5 minutes after it was over. As you said, so much talent on that field. It was amazing, okay? And both teams just making the big play after big play. And it was something to watch, no question about that. And, a lot of the conversation, a little bit of it's after the fact, but, Kalen DeBoer is supposed to be this quarterback guru, and he's letting Jalen Milroe do a little more than Milroe did in last year's offense, and that's maybe adding to his ability. He's now an odds-on favorite for the Heisman. They change those odds every week. He's now the odds-on favorite for the Heisman Trophy because of this performance. And, in college football, you got to let if the quarterback's that good, you got to let him affect the game. Just like we talk about LSU, you got to let Durham affect the game. Well, Alabama, Georgia, these two teams could meet 2 more times this year. They could meet in Atlanta for the SEC championship, and they could meet in the playoff scenario. Who knows? But it goes back to what I said on the radio Saturday. A little glitter was off this game because there's 12 teams in the playoff and not 4. Because in all likelihood, both of these teams are in the 12-team playoff. No question about it, regardless of what happened the other night in Tuscaloosa. But entertainment, Ronnie, I bet Georgia -1, and they are 34-33. I'm saying, you got to be kidding me. I'm -1, and it's 34-33. The wise guys in Vegas are pretty sharp, okay? But, it didn't end that way. But obviously, it's 21-0, 28-0. Bama, and I'm going, okay, I'm trying to cash out, and get a little bit back. But, anyway, so it was something else. A lot of college football over the weekend was big time, and the spotlight was on that game.
Milroe, to me, like I said, is the leader in the clubhouse on the Heisman deal. He had almost 500 yards of offense individually. This was the Jaden Daniels Florida game. That's what this was for Milroe, in the sense that, he was fantastic. He was the best player on the field. But Ricky Williams, the Williams kid, the little 17-year-old receiver for Alabama, holy cow. You talk about talent and a bottle and speed and moves. Like the 17, when he had the ball in his hands, best player on the field. I mean,
he reclassified. He should be playing high school football. Like Derek Beckwith should be announcing some of his games this year, okay, at the high school level. But, but the talent, the speed, we go back to that word speed, okay, and the moves and the awareness and knowing what's going on. And Bama's got it for 2 more years, I guess. You never know nowadays, but wow, what a threat! And Vanderbilt's got to play Bama this week. That's going to be ugly, okay? But the other big games that Alabama's got on the schedule, including them coming into Baton Rouge a little over a month from now. So, wow, it was the headliner of college football weekend. That had a lot of other good things too.
Yeah, November 9th, LSU, Alabama. But, Milrow, you know, he threw the ball for 374 yards, something like that, rushed for 117. Um, and again, he's another guy that when he puts that foot in the ground and turns that corner, I mean, just gone. I mean, it's he's impressive. He's not, look, you wouldn't have said Milrow is an NFL quarterback 10 years ago, but now, yeah, now the way the game has shifted, the way the offenses have played, the way the game is played. Look at Lamar Jackson. They beat the Buffalo Bills yesterday. Henry, the big running back, came over and rushed for 199 yards, the former Alabama running back. But the way the game is in the NFL now, Milrow absolutely is a guy that is going to get some love and an opportunity to play quarterback at the next level if you go to the team with the right system that is willing to play that Ravens style. Because he is big, he's strong, he's fast. Cam Newton was big and strong, but he don't have the speed that a Milrow has. I mean, he has got elite speed along with some physicality to him running that football. That was just an epic game. And if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, I mean, as disappointed as you were in that first half, Tommy, Kirby Smart showed he's something special because there ain't no other team in the second half down 23 at halftime, the way Alabama was rolling, would have pulled it together and gone out there and did what they did in the second half. I truly believe that. Not another team in the country. But that's why Georgia's special. That's why Kirby Smart is special, is they pulled it together and almost pulled off the tremendous upset. Rocking the Raging Cajun hat today. Raging Cajuns with a big win on the road at Wake Forest. They were an underdog. I mean, taking on an ACC team. I know not a great one, but still Sun Belt Conference, traveling a few states over, going around the hurricane on Friday, and taking care of business. So big win for the Raging Cajuns. They lost a heartbreaker to Tulane at home, but went and got a big win on the road at Wake Forest. And speaking of Tulane, holy cow. Tulane, 6.5-point favorite earlier in the week. The line goes down to 3.5. A little weird. Don't understand it. 3-point spread, was thinking who's out for Tulane? Why is this line moving so much? At home against South Florida. Well, they destroyed the Bulls and looked pretty impressive.
Yeah, they really did. Raging Cajuns' first time ever in football to beat an ACC team. So, that's you can put that notch in the belt. A great job by the Raging Cajuns. A fun football team to watch. They score a lot of points, give up a few, but they do well. And look, I remember people talking about John Sumrall. That's the new coach at Tulane. And some of our colleagues in New Orleans who pay more attention to Tulane than maybe we do told us this guy's the real deal. Not just his track record, but the way he has, spoke at the quarterback club and spoke to the fan base and met with the media. Everybody's been impressed with him. And, Willie Fritz didn't leave the cupboard bare, although he's struggling at Houston right now. But this John Sumrall, it's going to be like Fritz. It might be hard to keep him if he can keep doing what he's doing at Tulane. But, a nice win for the Wave at home. I saw some pictures. It wasn't a packed house. But that kind of happens down there at Tulane.
Yeah, supposedly they had 20,000. The place holds about 28 or so, but 26, 7. But Darian Mensa, their freshman quarterback at Tulane, kid from California, unfortunately, he's not going to be at Tulane in the future. You know what I mean? Like, just the way this is, he's going to, if he continues to have the kind of games like I think he was 18 for 22, 326, something with 3 touchdowns, no picks. And this guy was a third-string quarterback in camp. Just played so well, they had to play him. He beat out a veteran transfer from Oregon, and he's been very good. And unfortunately, the way it is, hey, great, you had an awesome freshman year. Tulane did better than we thought, led us to a bowl game, and then chances are he's going to go in the portal and he's going to shop himself to the big boys and see if he can get a payday. But that's just the way it is, and then it's unfortunate even more if you're like those mid-major type schools like a UL, probably worse. Tulane, by the way, who officially passed on the Pac-12 offer. They got offered to go join the Pac-12. The problem is that Pac-12 right now can't give you a firm number of like this is what your payout's going to be because the Pac-12's in negotiations with TV and all that kind of stuff. So there's no guarantee of the money. You'd have a major buyout of the conference they're in now, and so Tulane and Memphis both decided, you know what, we're just going to stay put where we are.
I think it's a good move at this point in time, based on everything I read, and we'll see. Time will tell, but good move by the Green Wave down in New Orleans.
All right, so a lot going on in the world of college football on Saturday. It was a tremendous day. One of the big shockers, of course, was Kentucky goes into Oxford. Ole Miss only puts up 17 points in that game, or 20 points, whatever it was. Kentucky ends up winning. It was a crazy ending. They fumbled in the end zone, fell on it, and win the game. And now all of a sudden, and I guess them losing is good for LSU, but at the same time, it takes a lot of luster now off that October 12th matchup between LSU and Ole Miss and Tiger Stadium. We thought we were going to be seeing an undefeated top 3-4 ranked team in the country and Ole Miss coming to Baton Rouge, and LSU gets a chance to play spoiler. Not that Ole Miss may not even be, they might, who knows what's going to happen. They got South Carolina this week at first, 9-point favorite on the road. But LSU, Ole Miss, you hope that the loss by Ole Miss doesn't take a little bit of the letdown by LSU. The players have to realize, hey, that's still a super talented offense over there.
Keep in mind, Kentucky played Georgia to the wire, too, a couple of weeks back. So Kentucky might be a little better than their record might indicate. But to go into Oxford and win, nobody saw that coming. Ole Miss was a 15-point favorite. And not to just go in there and play well and play close, but to, win the ball game. That was big time. For Stoops in Kentucky, put him in the conversation for possibly next Florida job, coach. But anyway, that was big, and you're right. Ole Miss, there's gonna be no fun going into South Carolina for them this coming week, and then of course they come to Baton Rouge. I guess we'll get that kickoff time announced a little bit later this morning.
If you connect the dots, South Carolina blew out Kentucky on the road. Kentucky beat Ole Miss on the road. That means South Carolina's going to win this week, right, at home against Ole Miss. That's what
ABC thing. Yep.
All right, NFL talk.
Oh. Ronnie, you paused.
So,
Ronnie, you're speechless.
2 weeks in a row. First off, Saints last week against the Eagles were not the best team. The Eagles were the best team. They basically doubled them in yardage, and they dominated the game at times when they needed to. But yet the Saints still should have won the game. When they have a lead and the other team has to score a touchdown and the other team has the ball with less than 2 minutes to go and no timeouts and, they got to go 70 yards, you should win that game. Your defense should keep them out of the end zone from 70 yards and less than 2 minutes to go. But they lost the game. This week, they lose a game that they were the better team. They were the better team than the Falcons. They give the Falcons 2 gift touchdowns, a deflected interception, a bad decision by Carr. He shouldn't have double pumped. He shouldn't have thrown the ball. He should have thrown it away, ate it, whatever. But so it was a risky throw, and he wasn't taking care of the ball, and he gets tipped on a little screen, and it goes for a touchdown. But the Rashid play where he fumbled the punt, where he tries to field it and catch it on the 3-yard line, when I don't know, since the beginning of time, Tommy, when you're back there returning punch, you put your heels on the 10-yard line, the ball goes over your head, you just get away from it and let it roll in the end zone. What the hell was he thinking? This is a professional player, an NFL player who catches 1 million punts in practice, who has a coach that just works with him, and yet he's going to just do whatever the hell he wants to do. And he fumbles it, it goes in the end zone. So the 2 gifts, and then didn't you when the Saints went up 1, didn't you know? You knew in your gut too much time. You didn't know it was going to play out the way it did, but you knew we're giving them the ball back with a minute to go. I know they got no timeouts, but all you got to do is get a field goal. And in this league, anything under 60 yards is going to be made, it seems like these days.
Yeah, it really is. And, it's and Falcons have a very good kicker, obviously, not just because of yesterday. The guy's been pretty solid. So, The Saints, they have a dubious mark now through 4 games. Their defense has allowed like only a handful of touchdowns, yet they're 2-2. You're right; they were the better team yesterday, but they didn't win the game. And that the points on the scoreboard—that's what counts. It doesn't matter the total offense and this, that, and the other. But they were the better team, but did not win. That's 2 weeks in a row the Saints let a game get away. Ronnie, you and I, a couple baseball guys, we always talk about that 8th, 9th inning. You can't let it get away. You got to save that and win that. It's more important in football because there's less games. When you have that lead at the end in the NFL, in this case on the road, you got to look in the mirror and figure out a way to not let it get away. The pass interference call, 30-yard penalty, and then the long field goal. I mean, it just didn't work for the Saints, and it's very unfortunate because the Saints they are now in 3rd place in the division, the NFC South, and it was an NFC South game. That adds a little bit to the whole story that it was an interdivision game. So, man, I don't know. And the Saints got to go play the undefeated Chiefs next Monday night up in Arrowhead. Wow. I mean, come on, Saints. Ronnie, I was a little firm and bold back in August when I thought they'd start the year 1-4. Thought they'd beat Carolina, which they did, and I thought they'd lose the next 4. Well, I might be off by a game. If they lose to the Chiefs, they'll be 2-3. Long way to go. I get that. There's a lot of football to be played in the NFL, but the way they lost the last 2 games is just head scratching. I mean, it just can't happen. Championship teams or teams that win their division don't lose those type of games.
You have another game where Alvin Kamara has over 100 yards of offense. You got another game where Carr played pretty good. Your offensive line has been the surprise of the year outside of the Eagles game when you had a couple of injuries and you were going against one of the better defensive lines in the league. I just don't even know, Tommy. I mean, like, that game was so disgusting because you were the better team than the Atlanta Falcons, and you just found ways to lose it. I mean, that was typical New Orleans Saints crap in the sense that here we are, you're moving the ball up and down the field, and you're just going to let the other team have 2 free ones, just 2 free ones. And then at the end, when the other team, Tommy, doesn't have time, and you know that they got to go at least 30 yards. Like, I kept thinking, because, I mean, when you kick the ball in the end zone now, you don't get the ball at the 20 or the 25. You get the ball at the 30. That's a huge deal. It's almost worth, like, risking kicking it and trying to get your kickers to master the art of kicking it inside the 5, right? Kick it high and trust in your NFL talent and players to go down there and make a tackle, because giving them the ball at the 20 and 22 is a hell of a lot different than the 30, is when time is of the factor. But anyway, they get the ball at the 30. So in my mind, I was like, okay, all they got to do is go 30 yards, and that's a 57-yard field goal. At this point in time, that's a 50% make, okay, in the NFL. So I'm like, even though they have no timeouts left, they still only have to go 30 yards with, 50 seconds. That's very doable. Okay. And so why wouldn't you, again, with no timeouts, play in front, let everything be in front, let everything funnel to the middle of the field so that you got to tackle them and they can't get out of bounds and all that. And instead, on 3rd down, Debo's in a trail position on an out and up or a double move. He goes for the first move. Like, what? Like, how does that happen? Like, I just don't know how that happens. It's one thing if the player makes an unbelievable catch on a jump ball, you're right there, but he's trailing and he's got to interfere with the guy, because he's catching up, it just, oh my God. So as soon as there was that pass interference penalty, you knew that's it. That was it. It was.
They almost hit a touchdown on 3rd down, but I don't think the receiver knew the ball was thrown to him. I really don't. When I looked at the replay, I said the receiver did, because I'm not saying he'd caught it, but I don't think he knew it was thrown his direction. But anyway, no, you're right. You just knew, and that's a mental mistake by Debo, just like Shahidi with the punt thing. I mean, that's major mental mistakes that pro football players can't make. They're being paid not to make those mistakes. Are they going to make errors and mistakes? Yes, but they getting paid not to make mental mistakes. This is like baseball. You know, everybody's going to throw the ball away. Everybody's going to strike out. Everybody's going to drop a pop up. But you can't make a mental mistake, run yourself out of an inning, or a mental error. It's very tough to overcome them because everybody makes mistakes. But when you in an NFL player, you can't do that, and that's going to stick around for a little while. I do believe.
But yesterday was a giant day in the NFC South because the Bucks made a statement. I mean, the Bucks destroyed the Eagles, who gave the Saints fits all day long. I mean, and Baker Mayfield showed that last year ain't a fluke. He has been good this year. He has rejuvenated his career. One day we'll hear the 30 for 30 on him, and we'll find out what was the difference. Because I mean, that guy was almost out of football.
Well, too many TV commercials when he was in Cleveland. I mean, he was everywhere. I mean, so that was one of them. Change of scenery might do a guy good. It did Baker Mayfield a lot of good. And Tampa's not a bad football team.
No, they look the part. They look like they're the division winner again. And the thing is that Atlanta has yet to figure it out, but they will. I mean, Kirk Cousins is going to figure it out. Like, that guy wins. I know people talk about the postseason with him, but we ain't in the postseason right now. For 17 games, Kirk Cousins finds a way, man. He has got a little magic in him. He's got a little something in him. He doesn't ever say quit. And the Falcons needed a guy like him. I'm not saying the Falcons are going to be great or anything, but get him now is what I'm saying, because this team's going to get better at the end of the year.
And hopefully Michael Penix, the kid out of Washington, is learning some things from Cousins. Some of them things that don't always get talked about, the little things that end up making a difference. So, and that was part of the plan of the Falcons when they drafted Penix. We put him under Cousins, who's in his 13th year in the NFL, 6 in Washington, 6 in Minnesota. And the guy continues to produce. There's got to be a reason for it.
A little golf news: the President's Cup, the United States. They don't dominate the Ryder Cup, but they definitely dominate the President's Cup. They've played the Cup 12 times every other year. Over the last 24, 5 years, whatever. They're 10-2. They've won it 10 of the 12 times, including dominant fashion yesterday, 18.5 points to 11.5. They needed 15.5 points to retain the cup up in Montreal, Canada. And Sam Burns, Louisiana's own Sam Burns, LSU's own Sam Burns, was a member of that Cup team, just like he was a member of the Ryder Cup team past summer, and he was outstanding this weekend.
He was one of the key players. He and Xander Schauffele. Burns 3-0-1. He did half his singles match yesterday, which half point for the team. That's obviously better than losing. So tip of the hat to Sam Burns and the USA. 10th straight President's Cup. And the next time they play that, it'll be on U.S. soil. So might be 11 straight by that time.
All right, TK. We'll save some of these topics for Wednesday. Tell us about Court Street Cafe as we get out of here.
Well, 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Make plans now. Steak night Saturday night. And, of course, the Sunday brunch. I know it's only Monday, but put that on the calendar for this coming week. No LSU game, come over here and enjoy steak night. The steaks, the filet, and the ribeye provided by Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Jason and the staff do a super job here. Weather's cool. They got a nice patio out front. A couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge, as we always say. You work downtown Baton Rouge, you can get here quicker than Town Center or South Baton Rouge. Come on over to Court Street Cafe. Lunch specials, dinner specials, drink specials. They got it all going on right here in Port Allen. We've been coming out here on Mondays for many, many years, and we certainly appreciate the folks that have come to Court Street Cafe. And if you haven't done it, put it on the calendar and get it done. Court Street Cafe, Port Allen.
All right. For Tommy Krysan, I'm Ronnie Rance. Thanks for watching Sports Shorts Daily. Please like and share this video. We'll be back Wednesday, Friday this week. Tell a friend. We'll see you on Wednesday, everybody. Have a good one. Thanks to LeBear's Casino, our presenting sponsor.